Sometimes I just don't feel like praying. And I know I'm supposed to. I know that's the way we communicate with God. I know all the fancy theological stuff, but sometimes I just don't want to. And I think it's because sometimes prayer feels like an obligation instead of a joy and delight. It feels like this thing that I'm obligated to do, required to do, or even forced to do because it's a spiritual discipline. And that term makes it sound like work or like a chore. And other times I just don't feel like praying because I don't have any motivation. But I don't want to feel that way. I don't want to feel like talking to God is a burden. So there are a few things that I have done to help me to pray regularly and actually enjoy it. So that's what I'm sharing with you in today's video. The first thing is that I play worship music. So here's the thing. Sometimes I just don't feel like talking to God. It could be that I'm upset with Him, or it could be that it feels like a chore and I just don't have the desire or the energy to do it. And when that's the case, I play worship music. So this could be listening to worship music through my earphones while I'm at work, or it could be listening to it in the car or at home. And what I have found is that it changes the atmosphere. It also helps to soften my heart towards the Lord. So the music, it changes my mood and it helps my heart to get into an attitude of worship and praise. And after listening to the music for a while, I might start to sing along and reflect on the goodness, the power, or the sovereignty of God. So it really brings me into this place of worship, which makes it so much easier to talk to God because I remember who he is and his faithfulness. And it helps me to be captivated by his love and character, and it softens my heart towards him. And then as a result, I naturally want to start praising and thanking him. So let me share an experience with you. There was a time when I didn't really feel like praying and I didn't feel like going to church either. But one thing I would do is play worship music at home. And one night I was listening to a Christian album, and when I got towards the end, there was one song that was written as if God were talking directly to you. And it's like the Lord spoke to me through that song, and it broke the hardness of my heart because I was captivated by his love and his constant pursuit. And that just led me into a deep, heartfelt time of prayer. The next thing I do is reframe the way I see prayer. So I think most of us learned how to pray in a church setting or while being around other Christians. And a lot of times, prayer in these settings can be very formal, lengthy, loud, polished, and sometimes it's even structured. So I would often hear prayers like,
Mighty God of Daniel, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, we come before you thanking you for your goodness.
and I think somewhere along the line, I started to believe that's how my prayers needed to sound. I thought I had to be super formal all the time. I thought my prayers had to be long. And I think those beliefs contributed to me seeing prayer as a chore or something that's going to take up lots of time. So I had to stop calling it prayer and start calling it conversations with God, because what you call it can affect how you see it. And my brain had already perceived prayer as a chore. So I had to call it something totally different so my brain could see it differently and get excited. I have good conversations with my friends and they leave me feeling happy. So I thought if I call it conversations with God, then my brain will get happy and excited. And that has really helped me to talk to the Lord more. And if something is bothering me and I need to process my emotions, I tell myself that I'm having a therapy session with the Lord. And the amazing thing is that I have received so much insight, revelation, and breakthrough in these therapy sessions with the Lord. And every time I get a breakthrough, I'm like, Lord, why do I not talk to you more often? Like, for real. When I was younger, for me, prayer was more about asking the Lord for things. But now I've been sharing with the Lord what's on my mind, my desires, my fears, and my worries. And I have been enjoying these conversations with Him way more. It helps me to view God as a friend instead of a genie. So think about one of your good friends with whom you can totally be yourself, and then talk to God just like how you would talk to that friend. The next thing I do when prayer feels like a chore is that I keep it simple. So I shattered the belief that prayer had to be long, loud, and done at a specific time. I used to think that I had to pray long and loud and that I had to wait until I was in a quiet, private space to pray. But now some of my prayers are 1 to 4 sentences long. Like, have you ever had a thought that you need to pray about something or for someone, and then you told yourself that you would pray later at home? Well, I've had that thought, and I realized that when I get home, I don't pray. Like, I forget about it. So now I'm trying to pray right away once the thought pops up in my mind. It's still a work in progress, but I'm trying to do that more often. And a lot of times in those cases, when the thought pops up, I'm busy. So I just say a short prayer because I strongly believe a short prayer is better than no prayer, because prayer doesn't have to be long to be strong. Another thing I've been doing is just saying a gratitude prayer. And this can be a short prayer or a long one. It can be as simple as saying, Lord, thank you for my ability to walk freely. Or it could be a whole list of things that you're grateful for, like your family, friends, food, health, and the ability to see, like whatever it is. But be specific in these gratitude prayers, and as you do so, you'll realize how blessed you are. Okay, so I want you to remember that prayer is not a performance. It's about connecting with God. It's about sharing your heart with Him and listening to what He has to say. And if you're going through a season where you don't feel like reading the Bible, then make sure to check out this video on your screen where I share what I do when I'm just not interested in reading the Bible, even though I know I should.